On behalf of Social Venture Partners Seattle, welcome to Fast Pitch Online. I'm Bob Woods, partner at SVP Seattle and board chair for the founding affiliate in the SVP network. We're excited to have you join us for this annual event developed right here in the Northwest over 8 years ago. Fast Pitch is one of the most visible ways that SVP acts as a convener in our community, bringing together social innovators, partners, community leaders, and investees to drive lasting change in the Puget Sound. We're glad you joined us for this important event, especially during a time of crisis in our local and global community. During this crisis, SVP's mission is now more important than ever. SVP connects and invests in people and organizations to co-create thriving, sustainable, and just communities. I joined SVP over 3 years ago to invest in equitable education, an important mission to myself and my family. As the current health crisis has shown, there's still much work to do to bring equitable outcomes against this mission. SVP plays an important leadership role in the social sector, bringing sustainable capacity to the nonprofits that are needed more than ever today for those most at risk during this crisis. Over the past 23 years, SVP Seattle has worked with over 100 nonprofits through tens of thousands of volunteer hours across our 1,000 current partners and alumni. This kind of impact at scale only comes from an activated group of volunteers coming together with a common purpose and focus on equity. Are you ready to activate yourself? SVP offers a number of ways to engage with our investees, invest in your own philanthropic development, and collaborate within the social sector. Click on the donate button to support SVP, the Fast Pitch Innovators and its investees, or reach out to us online or through the Fast Pitch site to learn more about how to become a partner. I'm proud to be a partner at SVP and appreciate your time and giving to our organization.
Welcome to the 2020 Seattle SVP Fast Pitch. My name is Nikki Gain Butler, and I am the founder and executive director for Dignity for Divas. We're an organization supporting women experiencing homelessness right here in the Seattle greater area. Now, 2018, we participated in the Seattle Fast Pitch, and we actually won first prize for the startup nonprofit organization. Such an amazing opportunity that actually help catapult us to the next level where we're able to reach more women in need right here in our community. I am just so happy to be a part of this year's event, and I just could not be more happy to be here with you so you can hear about more organizations doing other change, just like Dignity for Divas. Hey, Paul, I'm here with Paul Shoemaker, and he's going to tell you a little bit more.
Hi, Nikki, how are you? You really nailed in 2018. I do remember that. So my name is Paul Shoemaker. I am thrilled to be here. I thought I was going to see a whole bunch of old friends in person, but I guess that's not possible right now. So it's great to connect with you online regardless, because that's the way we're all connecting these days anyway. I'm just as excited as Nikki is to showcase for you the 2020 Fast Pitch candidates. As everybody knows, our region, our whole country, our whole world is facing such new evolving changes. That comes with it a greater drive for creative solutions, which we think makes Fast Pitch even a more incredible opportunity right now for you to connect with others who care about the world and are making positive change happen in each of our communities. So cannot wait to get going with you here, Nikki.
Yes, it's such a true thing what you're saying. You know, right now more than ever, I think that we're all being connected through the heart. So as bad as this COVID-19 is, as long as we look at it on an angle of love and support and figure out ways that we can just continue to push through as a community, I'm telling you, it's just going to be life-changing. I really feel like there's so many positive things happening through the midst of all of this hurt and sadness and sorrow. So I'm just excited for everybody to have this opportunity to hear about these organizations and companies really getting in and doing the work that we all are actually experiencing, and we'll be able to see the change that's happening. So it's just an awesome time. And as Paul was saying, for anyone who doesn't know what the Fast Pitch is, it literally is in its 9th year. So this year is the 9th year of this event happening, where it's creating an opportunity for these organizations to share the work that they're doing in the community with an opportunity to gain some real capacity to help them continue to move forward in their business, in their organization, and in their mission. So it's just a huge opportunity.
So before we dig in any deeper to Fast Pitch, which we're going to get to in just a minute here, there's some really important people to thank for this. The folks that are our sponsors, they've made the first contributions, if we will, and we hope you're going to follow up with them. Some of the people we want to thank the most for being the sponsor today are Capria, the Microsoft Alumni Network, Point B, and Vulcan. And those have been our platinum sponsors. There's a lot of other folks that have really contributed too, that you'll see on our webpage, but those four in particular wanted to just highlight for them and appreciate their contribution.
So thank you again, and you guys be sure to check out all those amazing companies, because I'm telling you, they're doing some great things here. So Paul, what do you want to share with the rest of the people?
Well, one thing I want everybody to know is we're not just here to showcase today, which we are. We are here to contribute to these organizations. So I'm going to tell you more about that in just a minute. But do not forget, this is not just show and tell. This is show and tell and vote and contribute and make a difference with your dollars today. So we're great. It's great to have everybody here today to watch all these amazing pitches. I want to remind you, don't forget about the Audience Choice Awards. So as you watch each of the innovators pitch today, be thinking about who touches you, who compels you the most as you watch the pitches. Check out our how-to page or the vote page to see the simple steps for the way that you can vote for your favorite innovator. So again, this is all about personal social engagement and involvement. It's about contributing. So not only can you contribute, but you can also share this program as widely as you possibly can. So the more you can help to share, the more we can amplify these stories of innovation and change, and we can contribute to these organizations. But let's quit screwing around. We're here for the pitches, so let's vote, let's donate, let's go.
That's exactly right. Now, just keep in mind, if you don't vote, they don't get through. So if you like a story and you like an organization and it touches a part of you, vote. Put your vote in. Share it on your Facebook. Share it with your family. We're all home anyway, so share it. Let's have something valuable to watch, right? So get your vote in, make a difference. You can make a difference right from your house. Right there, you can make a difference for others that are making a difference for others. So it's just a continual chain reaction of good. So I can't wait to see all the stories. I'm going to be watching with you, and we'll make some magic happen. So thanks again.
Amen, Nikki. Thanks.
Are you ready for the established nonprofits? I know I am. Get ready.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sean Good, and I steward Choose 180 as our executive director. We are a nonprofit organization that transforms systems, communities, and lives through the power of choice. My journey in this work began about 2 years after that photo was taken. See, the earliest memory I have of my brother is as a 6-year-old boy visiting him inside of a juvenile detention facility. At the age of 13, he was sentenced for a crime to 8 years locked up in one of these facilities. And I would visit him at the age of 6 and would not be able to create any new memories with him until he was 21 years old. See, back then, an organization like ours didn't exist. There was no alternative to the criminal justice system. But since 2011, we have supported over 4,000 youth and young adults in receiving community instead of convictions and grace instead of guilt. That's 4,000 youth and young adults that have been able to have memories with their families, that have far exceeded the few that I hold with my brother. Young adults like Joe. See, Joe came up from East LA. He was heavily involved in street art and a variety of other things that are far from legal depending on the canvas that you're using. And he moved up to Seattle to escape some of the problematic behavior that he was experiencing down there. But that problematic behavior followed because he just didn't change. And it wasn't soon after he arrived that he got caught up with Seattle Police Department, found himself arrested, and a referral came across the desk of our city attorney's office. And because of our unique relationship with the Seattle city attorney, instead of sending him through the criminal justice system, they sent him to a Choose 180 workshop. And he participated in our 4-hour session, made a commitment to a new direction for his life, tapped into the resources that are available so he can honor that commitment, and became a part of the 90. See, in our organization, 90% of the young people who engage in our work do not return to the criminal justice system within 12 months of participating in our program. And they do it for a variety of different reasons. For example, this young person needed to get joy back in their life by making different choices that keep them in control of their own life. And many of them, like Joe, come back to volunteer and support the work so they can give back to the lives of young people in the same way that they were poured into. That wasn't good enough for Joe. Joe leveled up and he brought his street art into our office and created a beautiful mural for us to be able to walk in and be inspired every day to remember that young people and young adults can't commit to Choose 180. And our work functions like this. We're similar to an emergency room. We engage young people at critical moments. We triage them, help them get well enough, assess their needs, and then refer them out to what we call primary care and specialty practitioners, this community of support. Folks like tutors, behavioral health specialists, employment folks, a variety of people throughout the community that are able to help them get to the places that they aspire to go. And it's not just our method that makes us successful, it's the fact that our board and our staff team are made up of people who share experiential diversity with the population that we serve. And if one of those faces look familiar, it should. No, not me, that is Joe, because in January of this year, Joe became a full-time employee with Choose 180. And as a full-time employee, he's supporting our school-based diversion work, and that's actually what I came here to talk to you about this evening. See, we've done years of work in the criminal justice system, and there is something consistent that we noticed. A very large portion of the young people we serve have been previously suspended or expelled. And so we figured if we can engage them early enough on, we find a way to be able to curtail the school-to-prison pipeline. So in 2018, we launched our first ever school-based diversion program in Highline Public Schools, serving 4 schools there. So when young people would otherwise be suspended or expelled, instead they participate in 5 weeks of our programming, get to stay engaged in class, learn the skills necessary to function well in those spaces, and commit to a new direction for their life. But it's difficult. And it's not difficult because of the young people. It's difficult because school district funding is unreliable. The state funds at one level one year, another level the next year, which means we're heavily reliant upon individuals like you to sustain this work and grow this work. And the reality is, if we're going to stop the school-to-prison pipeline, we must grow this work. And that's going to require each and every one of you. And see, that's the ask for today. We need to serve more, we need to serve better, and here's the breakdown of how it works. $150,000. That gets us 2 full-time staff. Those 2 full-time staff support 4 separate schools. In those 4 schools, we do 36 weeks of programming, and in those 36 weeks of programming, we will support 200 young people. That is 200 young people that will not enter the school-to-prison pipeline, 200 young people that will be connected to community, 200 young people that will never have to have the experience that my brother had. And it can happen, and it will happen with you. The question is, will you join us in ending the school-to-prison pipeline? Will you join us in committing to Choose 180? Thank you very much.
And I work as a fundraiser at Seattle Education Access, also known as SEA. I was 11 years old when my family left everything behind in Mexico, including family and friends. We immigrated to the United States in search of access to a better quality of life through higher education. But we didn't anticipate how difficult it would be to achieve this. I became a DACA recipient soon after graduating high school, which meant I received a temporary work permit that had to be renewed every 2 years and did not come with any federal benefits. During my freshman year at the University of Washington, I was faced with the heartbreaking reality of my situation, not only as a DACA recipient, but also as a low-income person. I could not afford to pay another year at UW. How did I get this far in my education with so few resources? I applied to every scholarship open to DACA recipients and funded 95% of my first year of college. Yeah. Unfortunately, though, the majority of these awards could be granted only once. So imagine for a second the frustration, stress, and fear I was facing. Suddenly, my future seems uncertain. Then I met Danica, my SEA student navigator, who provided me with one-on-one support and helped me put together an academic plan and a quarterly budget that assured that I was going to be able to pay for the rest of my education. Thanks to her support and guidance, I graduated from UW debt-free. It truly makes a difference in a student's life to have someone with experience guiding, supporting, and motivating us through complex educational systems that were not created for people like us. And to remind us of our potential and strength to not give up, even when it seems impossible. That is exactly what SEA offers to over 1,000 students every year. 2 years ago, I became the first former student to get higher at Seattle Education Access. Today, I'm financially stable and able to support my family. My partner, also an SEA former student, and I recently bought our first home, and this year we are becoming parents to a baby boy who will one day have the support and guidance he needs to get a higher education thanks to our own life experiences. SEA is the only organization in Washington and one of the few in the US to serve opportunity youth between the ages of 16 and 29 who are in non-traditional education pathways. And as you can see from the slide, we serve a wide variety of student demographics. A study recently done, featured in the Seattle Times, showed that participants with an SEA student navigator were 3 times as likely to enroll in post-secondary education compared to those who did not have a navigator. It also showed that participants who were young men of color were 7 times as likely to enroll in post-secondary education with a college navigator. Still, nearly 19,000 youth in King County are neither working nor in school. This shows that there is dire need for SEA services in our community. Just in the past 3 years, SEA has exponentially grown from 5 to 21 employees, mainly thanks to partnership contracts. We were also recently voted into the state budget to expand our services into Pierce and Snohomish County. But here's where you come in. Embedded within our program is a scholarship mainly funded by individual donations. These are emergency funds that cover a student's basic needs that become barriers while going to college and living through adversity. My goal tonight is to increase SEA's GAP Scholarship Fund, and for that I need your support. With an additional $100,000, we could support 100 to 300 more students. If everyone in this room donated $125, we could achieve this goal. Join me in changing a student's life through your contribution the way it was changed for me. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Sarah Smith, Executive Director and co-founder of Sawhorse Revolution. We're a nonprofit that teaches high school students carpentry and architecture through inspiring community projects. And this is Van. Van was a student in our all-women's design build program, building a tiny house for people experiencing homelessness. Van moved from Vietnam when she was 12, and though her English was totally fine, during the design portion of the program, she was really shy and seemed to hang back around the edges. When the build started, that all began to change. Van's attendance beat literally everybody else's, and she used every tool on site, from the framing nailer to the impact driver to the final day of the build, putting finish on the walls of the house. We were scrambling to get it done, and Van just stepped out and took a little break, just kind of stepped back and poked my head out of the house, and I was like, "Hey Van, what are you looking at?" She just shook her head and said, "I can't believe we did this. It's amazing that we did this." Sure enough, in the program wrap-up later that day, she said, "The Sawhorse Revolution changed my life. Before Sawhorse, I would never go out. I didn't have friends and I just stayed home. Now I go out all the time. Thank you for inviting me to this program." This story doesn't actually end there, because this tiny house, which was designed by our students under the tutelage of Olsen Kundig architects and in consultation with people experiencing homelessness, was delivered a few days later to a Seattle tiny house for homeless village, where it now shelters a woman who had formerly been on the streets. And at Sawhorse Revolution, this is what we do. We aim to create a holistic cycle of impact in which high school students transform themselves and their communities through hands-on projects. Our mission is to foster confident and community-oriented youth through the power of carpentry and craft. We're the only organization in Seattle offering design and build programs for free to ensure that our youth don't have barriers to this kind of learning. It also means that our students don't look much like the carpentry industry today. Carpenters nationwide are 80% white and 99% male in the field, but Sawhorse students are 3/4 youth of color and over half young women and non-binary. We started as a summer camp back in 2010, sponsored by my friends and I's free time, thanks to the recession, and also in response to the lack of skills training and jobs programs nationally. Seattle Public Schools, for example, has cut all but 4 shop classes in the last 25 years. Sawhorse Revolution, on the other hand, has completed 51 projects since inception, including a series of nearly 30 custom designed tiny houses for homeless, a brain-breaking octagonal treehouse, a 200-square-foot social justice library currently being built in Seattle's Central District, and what is, in my opinion, the world's most beautiful tool shed. Our program's impact starts with our students, but it doesn't end there, since each project goes on to serve tens, hundreds, and even thousands of community members for years to come. Sawhorse Revolution offers a new model of community transformation, where education is at the center and the impact radiates outward. So for example, we've served 750 youth on these 51 projects. That also means that 1 in 15 students on average enters the design and construction industries, and that we've housed over 150 people. Currently, we work in 3 high schools in South Seattle. In the next 5 years, we want to be in about 6. Our staff has decades of experience in construction, design, education, activism, and is entirely female, non-binary, and people of color. Our board is full of carpenters, architects, lawyers, doctors, and nonprofit specialists. And together, we want to invite you all to celebrate our 10-year anniversary with us. One way you could join us is with a gift to the 10-year fund. We want to build a 9-month cash reserve so that Sawhorse does not go the same direction that shop classes have gone in Seattle. We've already got $100,000, and $250,000 will get us there to ensure that in the next decade, we'll serve at least 2,000 youth with 100 builds and over 10,000 hours of community project time. You can check out our website to learn more. I'm also happy to talk to folks individually over coffee to take you out to a job site where you can swing a hammer or just tour the project. If you come to the site, you might actually see Van. She still volunteers with us. She's in college now, but she comes on the weekends to help with our women's build, and just last weekend was teaching some of the other students how to climb a ladder. You can help our students too with a gift today. Thank you.
As Mamadou describes it, the 2 pickup trucks were full of police and soldiers, armed to the teeth. And as the police began to fire on the crowd, protesters ran, and a soldier delivered a violent punch to Mamadou's wife, who was 6 months pregnant. According to him, it was only good luck that helped him escape. But as days passed, the police continued to search for him. And he knew he had to make a choice. If he stayed in Guinea as a known political dissident, he would undoubtedly face torture and the possibility of death. But fleeing meant leaving behind his young daughter and wife. It was a choice that nobody should have to make. For many like Mamadou, the only way to stay alive is to flee. So many do. And they journey to our border and do something that might save their life: ask for asylum. Now, the US asylum system is complex, so here's what you need to know. There's a difference between a refugee and an asylee. Refugees come to the US in an orderly process, pre-approved with documents and government funding. On the other hand, asylees, like Mamadou, are on the run at a significant personal financial cost, a great physical risk, without any guarantees. Asylees cross multiple borders in their struggle to reach the US. Those that do make it are then handcuffed and locked in detention centers for months, sometimes even years, while they wait for their case to be heard. For the lucky few that do win their case, the road ahead is far from easy. When Mamadou was granted asylum, he walked out the back door of the detention center with nothing. No money, no phone, no shelter, and no next step. That's where we come in. My name is Ashley, and I am a part of a team at World Relief Seattle that works to see every asylee welcome, rooted, and empowered by community. You may know World Relief from our longstanding work with refugees, work that we've been doing for over 40 years. But now, our Seattle team, led by senior leadership and board members that came to this country as immigrants, refugees, and asylees, we've innovated a new, comprehensive program, the only one in this nation that helps asylees navigate the way forward. We literally meet asylees at the back door of the detention center and accompany them for the next 6 months, providing crucial services as they rebuild their lives here. It costs around $4,000 to provide these services to one asylee. When Mamadou was released, our asylee team got right to work, getting him into permanent housing, getting him a social security card, a work permit, and connecting him to his first job in the US. And since no one else is offering these services to asylees, we're becoming widely known in migrant communities as a haven. So the demand keeps growing. But the work that we're doing is incredibly effective. This last year, after just 6 months of working with World Relief, 93% of the asylees we served were self-sufficient, working, earning, thriving, saving, and giving back. As an organization, we have worked hard to raise money for asylees since starting this program, because the government doesn't provide initial resettlement funds to asylees. We've already raised over half the funds we need to serve the 125 asylees we're expecting in 2020. But here's where you come in. We need an additional $208,000 in order to meet the growing need. With this money, we'd be able to provide case management, rental support, and help asylees get connected to their first job in the US. Imagine that you're in a new country. You have just been detained for 11 months, and now you're free. But you're homeless, you have no money, you don't speak the same language, and you have no idea how to navigate the system. That's how Mamadou came to this country. That was 4 years ago. Today, he's been promoted to the engineering department at his job. He owns his own car, he's paying his share in taxes, preparing for his citizenship exam, and helping other asylees get connected to World Relief. But most importantly, he's rebuilding home. A year and a half ago, at the SeaTac airport, Mamadou was finally able to welcome his family to America. He got to see a daughter who he had never met before and hug his wife after 4 years, taking them home knowing they would all be safe. We do this work because asylum is a human right. Help us make finding welcome.
Up next are the startup nonprofits. Don't go to the bathroom.
In my youth, I was the face of homelessness, and it didn't look like me out on the street with a sign. Now look to the left and right of you. Anyone here is what homelessness can look like. My name is Selena Green, and I'm the programs manager for Abundance of Hope Center. I grew up in a one-parent household with 11 siblings and a mom who taught us that we could be anything that we set our minds. In high school, I went to a magnet art school. I wore Converse, was obsessed with Twilight, and like all the other kids at my school, I had high hopes and dreams for my future. But I was homeless. Like many others, I didn't live in a shelter or a tent at the homeless high school. Relatives were there to offer warmth and a roof. I kept my clothing and my belongings in black trash bags, and a part of my morning routine included folding up my bed area and stacking it to the side. My homelessness experience wasn't loud or visible. Didn't take up public space or land me in jail. My homelessness experience didn't fit the narrative. And this got me thinking that the narrative didn't fit the diversity of the experience. I concealed my homelessness as a high school. The abbreviated definition of homelessness in King County are folks who live in publicly or privately owned shelters or transitional housing. According to that, I wasn't even homeless. And to that, I say this: homelessness looks like more than one or even two things. And for those of us most disproportionately affected by the issue, it doesn't often look like a tent city. Being homeless means you lack, obviously, housing, but with that, you can lack things like dependable transportation, stability, a self-esteem. And what my mother protected me and my siblings from losing during our time of homelessness was our dignity. And my family's dignity was threatened time and time again, navigating these systems that were put in place to help people like us. These same systems often didn't feel like help. Requirements like an eviction notice for my family to receive rental assistance are reactive interventions that wait until after tragedy to offer assistance. Abundance Hope Center is different than any intervention I encountered in my youth. It was founded by my mother, a single mother of 12 who was homeless herself and wanted to bring dignity to the faces of homelessness. She combined her personal experience with over 20 years of professional experience and cultivated proactive, holistic programs to catch youth slipping through the cracks of the current system. All of our programming honors our youth and offers them dignity while providing essential services. One of the ways in which we offer dignity to youth experiencing homelessness is through our back-to-school pop-up shop. Annually, we create a boutique that offers clothes, shoes, hygiene items, and school supplies. This curated event counters those hectic, undignified events that I encountered in my youth. Another way in which we build equity and agency and dignity in our youth is through our educational workshops, one of which is called Equity Chat. And this brings together interested parties to identify and address barriers to outcomes, whatever they may be. During the conversation, the youth address needs like more relevant curriculum and barriers like not feeling valued as learners. During this conversation, the youth felt that their voices were heard and they had a say in how their community functioned. Now, we've done some amazing work, but we are so grassroots that it hurts. And we need to raise $500,000. This money will enable us to hire 5 full-time staff members, including myself, our operations manager, and our founder director, as well as 2 advocates and 2 relief staff to get our programs into 2 schools and 1 detention center in King County. Through your support of a one-time donation, a monthly sponsorship, or volunteering with us, You help us fulfill our mission because where hopelessness ends, empowerment begins. Thank you.
Feeling like you belong is complex, but we all know how it feels to be excluded. For me, my identity has made me feel excluded from certain spaces in conversation, but I've also had access to affordable credit that others haven't. And it's because of that access and that support that I stand before you on this stage today. Not everybody is supported. In fact, we know that families with less wealth are not financially supported, and they're charged more to access basic needs. This is known as the poverty premium, and at Community Credit Lab, we fundamentally believe that this is not just. And I think that you'll agree with us when I share that in the last year in the United States, $165 billion was extracted from underserved communities in the form of fees and interest on credit products like payday loans, auto loans, credit cards, and utility bills. So what if instead of charging low-income families a poverty premium, we supported them to access what they need and build wealth by offering a regenerative discount? I'm Sonia, co-founder of Community Credit Lab, and we exist to get capital to underserved communities on their terms. Our model is unique because we're designing loan programs with nonprofits and community members so that they can access what they need. Our programs are affordable with flexible loan terms, and they're equitable because they're underwritten based on trust and relationships. Our first pilot was with Highland College, and we worked with Cheryl, who shared that foreign educated nurses face a financial barrier to getting certified. As a result, these nurses were underemployed. Together, we worked with them to design a flexible loan program for nurses who immigrated to the region. Now Highline refers qualified candidates to receive a $500 no-interest loan to support their career certification. And as those nurses are certified, they're instantly connected to jobs that have an increase in their income of $25,000. As their loans are repaid, the funding is recycled back into the community through other loan programs. Now, we're planning to expand our product offering. In fact, we just recently launched in partnership with another local nonprofit a no-interest loan for living expenses for immigrants and refugees that were going through IT upskilling courses that have the potential to increase their income by 126%. Additionally, we're partnering with another local nonprofit to provide them with an affordable loan to bond immigrants out of detention. We know that immigrants that are outside of detention while their case is pending are more likely to be able to keep their job, are more financially stable, and most importantly, they're 20 times more likely to win their case and remain in their community. So how do we make this work? Community Credit Lab secures affordable capital from impact investors and is able to deploy them into underserved communities with other nonprofits and in partnership with nonprofits. As those loans are repaid, they're recycled into other loan programs and eventually returned to impact investors. And like most early stage nonprofits, our current operations are funded through philanthropy. Today in King County, there are 240,000 households impacted by the poverty premium. Nationally, this number is 31 million households. We must center the voices of these communities in order to learn how to build programs that can support and work for them. Our team brings a diverse set of experiences to the solution. My work over the last 10 years within financial institutions has shown me how traditional underwriting lacks the ability to get capital affordably to all people. Our COO has over 10 years of experience designing impact investment strategies across a global context, helping us align the interests of community members and investors. And our intern Cam has a great set of experiences growing up in Othello and helping us ground ourselves with a local perspective. We also meet monthly with our board to leverage their expertise across community building, workforce development, education, and investing. And finally, we're inviting you to join us in this journey. first 6 months of operating, we were able to secure 4 key sustainable partnerships and plan to grow our model with a mix of institutional partners and individual donors. Today, we're asking for 100 community members to support us with monthly donations of $100 a month to join our movement and to support us for our program costs for a year. At Community Credit Lab, we envision a lot of people coming together and supporting each other in the ways that they can. We believe that together we can do better for our neighbors, and we know that we can do better for them if we just try and connect to each other. Together, we can make it affordable for all people to live, thrive, and belong in King County.
90% of the moms that we recently surveyed reported that they felt out of control of their healthcare decisions before, during, and after childbirth. I am also one of those moms. This is my baby girl, Sandy. About 12 hours after we brought her home, she refused to breastfeed and was dehydrated. Worried, we rushed her to Seattle Children's Hospital. When we got there, the doctors and nurses took her from me and did a spinal tap, a urine analysis, and blood cultures, all on my 48-hour-old baby. As I sat there, recovering, bleeding, and swollen from childbirth, the doctors and residents would say to me, well, if you could just breastfeed your baby, we wouldn't have this problem. From that day forward, I made a vow to not ever let this happen to any other mom. We are different. We believe that all moms and families should have access to just and equitable health care. We broaden outcomes from not just delivering healthy babies, but ensuring healthy moms, families, and communities. And at our core, we believe we can transform healthcare amongst the 300 community clinics that exist within Washington State. So we've all seen it in the news. Serena Williams, Beyonce, Amy Schumer, all reporting their traumatic birth experiences. And most recently, an Indigenous woman here in King County who went to her doctor complaining of shortness of breath and heart palpitations. And they sent her home the next day and she died. She collapsed at her work, she went to cardiac arrest, and she lost her twins and left 2 babies without a mom. So why is healthcare so broken? Well, the speculum on the left, as many women in this room know, has not really changed much. That is an image from 1813. And we can see there that it really hasn't changed. Other than having a lock and a spring, it's pretty much the same thing. Secondly, providers lack connections to their patients, and they have natural biases. A mom we met out in rural Washington was traveling over an hour and a half to go to her prenatal visit. During one appointment, the doctor said, well, you have an STD. And he berated her endlessly about her unborn child. Little did he know that she was being sex trafficked and abused by her partner and was suffering from depression and anxiety. 30% of the deaths, pregnancy-associated deaths in our state, are due to behavioral health issues, suicide, and substance abuse disorders. And the 10 to 12 prenatal visits, I know because I'm pregnant, and the 12 well-child visits that we attend postpartum, how is it not a single doctor can ask us how we're feeling or how we're doing? So why not start here? These are the 300 community health clinics that we have across our state. And in 2018 alone, there were 83,000 Medicaid births. The red stars indicate areas where we have already gone in and started working with moms, providers, nurses, and doctors. So we enter a community, we sit down with moms, we learn about their stories, we talk to the doctors and nurses, and we learn how do we transform healthcare that's more equitable for all families living in that community. We go into the healthcare systems, the actual clinics. We deploy better assessment tools. We do workflow optimization, ensure that appointments move from only 10 minutes to 20 minutes with a patient. We're introducing clinical bias training, which is based off of the stories we hear from moms. And if they have an electronic health record, we do optimization. And if they don't, we introduce new protocols and decision-making tools. And finally, and the most important thing is we introduce a data analytics platform so they can better track their own outcomes. We're also training up a new role, the perinatal support specialist. And this person lives within the healthcare facility and follows the mom from the point of finding out that she's pregnant to 2 years postpartum. She supports in lactation support, she provides mental health support, and manages the patient from start to end. If we put moms at the epicenter of the decision making within healthcare, we're giving them their power back to take care of their family. And patient care is critical at being at the center of healthcare. That way, we can get access to things like doulas, mental health services, midwifery, housing, and trauma care. Our request is for $200,000, and we hope to train up to 150 perinatal support specialists, intervene in 15,000 births in our state, and work in up to the 5 counties that we have already started working in. We'll hope you join us as we transform healthcare for moms, families, and communities. Thank you.
My soccer team once shared a poem with me about how their identity manifested through their mother. And I will never forget when they expressed feelings of loneliness and regret from not hugging their mom before traveling 4,000 miles. And as I felt the emotions building up in both of us, I told Ale how glad I was that she was here. It was in that moment that I recognized that we had become much more than soccer coaches, and Ale is not alone in this feeling of solitude. Soccer Without Borders was founded because newcomer communities are experiencing a lack of safe space, opportunity, and social capital. And as the newest addition to our organization, our resources go to helping solve this issue here in Seattle. Hello, everybody. My name is Stephanie Arroyo, and I'm the program coordinator at Soccer Without Borders in King County. At SWB, we use soccer as a bridge to connect to newcomer immigrant youth ages 11 to 21 and across all genders. At its core, our program centers around forming connections on the field that can get translated into other areas off the field. For instance, one of the mantras we like to practice is, we always practice, we're glad you're here. With this mantra, we can deliver a space for refugees, asylum seekers, undocumented folks, and at the end of the day, for just kids to feel seen, welcome, and appreciated. And in a period of new transitions, soccer becomes our common language, and our teams create their own culture. We can do this because our program design takes on a trauma-informed approach when working with youth who have experienced prolonged high levels of stress. And this matters because the rate of PTSD in refugees is 5.8 times higher than that of all Americans. And by participating in exercise, they report experiencing elevated mood states and energy levels. Our program model eliminates physical barriers such as participation costs and provides all transportation and equipment. We weed out social barriers by connecting one-on-one with families so that they can trust when we explain the impact that sport can have on their child. All of this is possible because our coaches take a whole person approach when forming connections to develop confidence, healthy bodies, and healthy minds. And you'll see this take form in education, where 95% of long-term SWB participants graduate from high school, compared to the 60% of non-SWB participants who graduate with limited English ability. You'll also see this take form in prioritizing access for girls. And we've been able to do this for 10,000 girls worldwide with a 30 to 40% retention rate, 3 times the national average. Soccer Without Borders in King County is sustainable through the support of various communities. Our national office creates our safeguarding and runs our measurement and evaluation, whereas our Seattle volunteers take part in youth-based opportunities, like transporting youth, assistant coaching, and even joining our advisory board. And as our program continues to grow, our goal is for us to become a full circle, where our players become our coaches, and our coaches can in turn empower the youth who are in the same position they once were. And while our national office oversees a large community, every location starts as a grassroots movement. And in King County, there are 3 staff members who create programming, have acquired the funding for the Seattle King County launch, and are continuing to expand. And as the program coordinator, I connect us to our school partnership, but most importantly, to our high school girls team through coaching. See, I came to Soccer Without Borders because of my family's own history within the United States immigration. And Ale's story from the beginning is similar to the story of my own family. So when I heard that one of my soccer players said they enjoy SWV because they get to play soccer again, it's familiar to them and that makes it comfortable and safe. I knew we had created a space that my own family had said they needed, but never. And so now I am here with you all today because with your support, our growth is possible. We are asking for $50,000 to continue our expansion in Kent into King County. With these resources, we will be able to execute seasonal programming to 75 Kent Meridian High School youth, to 75 Mill Creek Middle School youth, and to 300 youth at our 3rd annual Kent Camp in partnership with World Review. And see, expanding to Kent is necessary. Newcomer populations are being forced to relocate farther south, and we have firsthand seen this happen to the players on our own side. So there's power in our actions and our words. And when we tell youth we're glad they're here, and we provide them with a toolkit to create community, they become inspiring young adults who believe in themselves and turn to care for others. Thank you all for being here tonight. I am truly glad.
And up next now are the startup for-profits.
I'd like to tell you a story about a city where inclusive growth supports a vibrant local economy, where there's economic mobility for folks from historically disadvantaged communities, and where Main Street businesses thrive because neighbors know and support each other. And there's a sense of connection, and belonging, and community. It's not our city, but it could be. I'm Laura Kleiss, founder and CEO of Intentionalist, a social purpose corporation based here in my hometown, Seattle, Washington. At Intentionalist, we believe that the money that we spend is an investment in the world we want. Small businesses are the heart of our communities, the backbone of our economy, and they need our support to survive. The good news is that more and more people care. Last year, on Small Business Saturday, 110 million people spent $19.6 billion in a single day. But there's a gap. Consumers who care want to support small businesses, but it can be hard to find them. What if we had a resource at our fingertips that allowed us to be intentional about who benefits from the money that we spend? And what if we could build community, one cupcake, one cup of coffee, one workout at a time? Intentionalist makes it easy to discover local businesses and learn about the diverse people behind them. Through our directory, guides, and events, we close the gap between intention and action, between what we care about and what we're able to do about it. Let's say you wanted to find a woman-owned coffee shop. You could do the usual online search that would bring you to a list of the usual resources, some of which might provide some helpful information. With Intentionalist, you can quickly search and filter based on what you want, where you want it, and who you want to support. When it comes to resources and guides to local businesses, Intentionalist isn't alone. But what differentiates us from our competitors is that convenience is a means, not an end. We believe that small businesses are so much more than the products and services for sale. And as a result, we've been able to cultivate something not easily replicable, and that's trust. Over the past 2 years, we've crowdfunded and bootstrapped our way to building Seattle's largest directory, brick and mortar small businesses owned by folks from historically underrepresented communities. In 2019, we doubled the number of businesses on our platform, tripled our registered users, and partnered with local companies and nonprofit organizations. This year, we're focused on growing our reach, revenue, and impact through corporate partnerships and product innovation that will engage new and existing users. Engaging just 0.01% of the folks who participated in Small Business Saturday will translate into $5.5 billion annual revenue. We're fortunate to have a talented and experienced team of technologists, marketers, and designers fueling our growth. Mary West is the owner of Flowers Just For You, the only Black-owned florist. A series of setbacks left her in a vulnerable position as a result of gentrification and displacement. And this past December, after 35 years in business, she faced eviction. But word got out. Community rallied, and Intentionalist is proud to have been a part of that. But it begs the question, if we don't know our neighbor, how are we going to show up for the money we're already spending is an opportunity to connect with one another and build community when we take a moment to be intentional. I began with a story about a city where inclusive growth is supporting a vibrant local economy. And that story is still being written here in Seattle, cities throughout America, and around the world. And the hero of that story is you. It's all of us together when we spend it.
Hi everyone, I'm Mackenzie, co-founder of ManaJobber. All right, so most of us have used iJobs before, right? Tilt back your head, click the job, and a little bit always trickles down your cheek. Well, that's because those jobs are too big. Our team first learned about this problem through an article titled "Drug Companies Make iJobs Too Big, and You Pay for the Waste." We were infuriated. It turns out these jobs are 5 times too big for the human eye. And with expensive prescriptions like those for glaucoma, costing up to $500 per bottle, this waste is contributing to a significant and devastating financial barrier to care for patients. To make things worse, 1 in 4 of these individuals chronically run out of their prescriptions before insurance will cover their next refill. We call this bottle exhaustion, and it is putting millions of people at the pharmacy counter every month having to either pay hundreds of dollars out of pocket to refill their prescriptions or forego vision-saving medication. As our team began investigating this issue, we started receiving stories from patients and caregivers who struggle to afford their medication. One that really stuck with us was from a gentleman named Richard. Richard shared with us his late mother's story, who, after being diagnosed with glaucoma, spent the last years and even days of her life up until her passing in constant fear that she had run out of her eye drops. This is no way to live and certainly no way to die. And Richard's mom is not alone. We have received countless stories from individuals who cannot afford their medications and who are running out before insurance will cover their next refills, forced to sacrifice their vision. And these stories are representative of the millions of Americans who are overpaying for their eye drop treatments, especially the 2.4 million Americans who have difficulty affording their glaucoma medications because they are either inadequately insured or encounter bottle exhaustion. But what these numbers don't capture are who these people are. And tragically, glaucoma affects some of our most vulnerable patient populations, including the elderly and patients of Black and Latin descent, who are 4 times more likely to develop glaucoma and up to 15 times more likely to go blind from this disease. So now you might be asking yourself why. There has to be a reason these jobs are too big, right? No. In fact, decades of clinical research have shown that smaller jobs are not only as effective, but in fact safer than larger jobs, because they minimize the systemic side effects that occur when these oversized jobs are absorbed by the TMS. But this is where we saw our opportunity. Our solution is the Nano Dropper, a simple and elegant attachment for eye drop bottles that twists onto any standard bottle and reduces the drop to something your eye can actually absorb. By making these drops a quarter of the size, we can make one bottle of medication last up to 4 times as long, meaning that with an affordable $15 solution, we can save patients and payers an average of $2,500 per year per prescription and ensure that nobody has to fear running out of their medications again. While Richard's mom can benefit from our solution, we want to ensure that millions of others will, which is why we are distributing directly to the source, to the eye care professionals that are already helping these patients manage their vision. Once in the clinic, we will have access to patients with a broad spectrum of eye health needs, who can also purchase from our website or pick us up from one of our retail partners. Additionally, we are partnering with large hospitals and institutions to ensure that patients at every step of our healthcare system can stop overpaying for eye drops, maintain their vision, and refocus on what really matters. To ensure our ability to execute on this mission, we have a core team of 4 co-founders with diverse and valuable backgrounds in science, engineering, and management. And we are unified by our shared mission to combat health inequity through innovation. 2020 is a big year for us, because not only will we be distributing the first Nano Droppers next month, but 2020 is the year that 80 million people will be diagnosed with glaucoma. And we want to be there to ensure that nobody has to choose between financial stability and their vision. So while our jobs are small, our vision is big. And we are thrilled to invite you to join us on our mission to reduce cost, increase access, and promote eye health. One drop at a time. Thank you so much.